If I did the math correctly, this extension tube is 95% cheaper than this macro lens. But does that mean that the image quality from this extension tube is also 95% less good than the lens? Let's find out. This is the Fujifilm 80mm f2.8 macro lens, and this is probably the sharpest, most precise and the best macro lens Fujifilm has ever made. Actually, it could also be the best lens they have ever made, and it also does this. It is also one of the most high-tech. You get 5 stops of built-in optical image stabilization and weather resistance. The front element is coated with water and dirt repellent fluorine coating so that it can take an abuse in any rain or snow and still show up for the next day for round 2. You also have a focus limiter switch that helps you choose between two focus groups from 0.25 to 0.5 meter and from 0.5 meter to infinity. Then there is the autofocus of this lens, which is unbelievable. It is precise and quiet. Very quiet. Very, very quiet. In fact, it is so quiet that it could really give Rolls-Royce a run for its money. But the party piece of this lens is its magnification. This is the first true one-to-one magnification lens made by Fujifilm, which means that things will appear in the photos in the same size as they are in real life, including me. This then is a lens for someone who likes to obsess over little things in high definition. Like a software developer reviewing someone else's code, and you really need to be a software developer to buy this, because as it turns out, this is also one of the most expensive lenses Fujifilm has ever made. There is no easy way of saying this. This lens costs more than €1,000, and for that money, you could actually have a little Italian vacation for a week for two people. So it really makes me wonder if there is an alternative. And fortunately, there is. This is a macro extension tube, specifically Fujifilm's 16mm macro extension tube. It only costs €60. Yes, that's right, €60. And there is no other way of saying this. This converts any lens into a macro lens. If I did the math correctly, this extension tube is 95% cheaper than this macro lens. But does that mean that the image quality from this extension tube is also 95% less good than the lens? Let's find out. Now to do that, I'll be doing a bit of a photo shoot. I'll be shooting this watch, which is a full metal watch with a lot of reflective surfaces. And my goal is to get as close as possible to that dial while still getting images as sharp as possible. But now we have a bit of a problem. You see, this 80mm f2.8 macro lens gives a true magnification ratio of 1 to 1. And so to actually compare it nicely with the extension tube, I need to recreate the same true magnification ratio of 1 to 1 with the extension tube. How the hell am I going to do that? Now, Fujifilm makes it a bit easier by providing a compatibility chart for all its extension tubes with all its lenses, which means you can basically check how much magnification does the extension tube provide with each lens. And so it seems that to get a true magnification ratio of 1 to 1, my best chance is to use the extension tube with the 18 to 55mm zoom lens. This is going to be fun. €60 versus €1,000. It's a lot of money. Right, so I'm confused. I mean, the results are kind of expected, but I'm a bit confused. I'm confused with this extension tube, but I'll get to that later. First, let's talk about this lens. So this is the final photo that I got with this 80 mm macro lens, and it's very very good as you would expect. Yes, so it's really sharp. Even if I zoom the photo, it's still very very sharp. You can see all the finer details of the watch dial, the numbers, the hands, the hour markers, all are very very sharp. Another thing is that I could really maintain a decent working distance with the subject and still get very good macro shots. So this lens gives you a really good closest focus distance or and working distance to play with. So it's really handy if you are working either in a studio or in a garden shooting in sets. Do not have to disturb the subject in both scenarios. You can still take really good shots and have the freedom of styling in a studio or shooting different subjects without messing around and all that. So it's pretty good, right? But all of this is expected because this is over 1000 euros in price. So good but expected. But this brings me to the extension tube. Now, for this video, I shot a watch, which is a very tricky subject. And almost every time I shoot a watch, I do focus stacking. Basically, when I shoot a watch, I would use this extension tube with my 50 mm f2 lens, take multiple shots with different focus areas but at the same angle, and then combine all of them together in Photoshop and get one final image, which is focus stacking in a nutshell. Now, if you don't know about focus stacking or if you want to learn more, you can watch this tutorial that I made. It's a complete tutorial. You'll get to see what happens in a focus stacking. Now, usually I do get 10 to 15 images with different focus areas in focus stacking when I shoot watches. And this is the final images is what you see on my tutorials and on my Instagram or on my website. However, for this video, when I shot the watch with this 80 mm f2.8 macro lens, I was able to do focus stacking with just two images. Yes, two. That's how good the focus on this lens is. I mean, I knew somewhere that it would be really good because it's more than 1000 euros, but it is mind blowing in person. I now look at this lens as not an expensive gadget, but actually a value for money tool. And this brings me to the extension tube. Now, Fujifilm says that if I use this extension tube with the 18 to 55 mm zoom lens at the 18 mm side, I will theoretically get a 1:1 magnification. However, in real life, when I shot that combination for this video, the lens could almost never focus on the subject at 18 mm. And I tried different settings. I shot in manual as recommended. I shot with stabilization on, I shot with stabilization off. I also tried different settings. I did, however, manage to focus nicely on the subject, that's the watch, with the same combination but at 55 mm. And that's what all the people say, that this extension tube works with the 18 to 5 mm zoom lens at the 55 mm longer focal length end. So here's my thing. Why put a number saying 1:1 magnification when it doesn't work? So here's my conclusion. If you have the money to buy a 1000 euro lens, or photography is your bread and butter and you really really cannot compromise on image quality and this is something you have to deliver day in day out, or you teach macro photography maybe as a career in some photography course or school, surely get this lens. This may be a 1000 euro lens, maybe more, but it gives you so much more. So look at this lens as a value for money tool. I know it's hard, but you can try. But if you are new to macro photography and you just want to try it, or you simply don't have the budget or the money to buy expensive lenses like me, or you are just setting up your photography business and you are still unsure of spending so much money on a lens, you can still go with the extension tubes, 16 mm, 10 mm, or a third party extension tube. Doesn't matter, it will still work really nicely and will give you really good macro shots. However,
do make sure to use it with a longer focal lens like 50 mm, 40 mm, or 60 mm. Yes, that's what my experience is. These extension tubes work really nicely with longer focal length lenses. It didn't work for me at 18 mm, but I'm not sure if this is the same case with other wide angle lenses. You can try. Alright, so this was it. I really had a lot of fun making this video and also got to experience both setups, and there were also some new learnings for me. And I hope this was also useful for you, because me aside, this content is for you, for making photography easy for you. So let me know if I'm doing a good job, and let me know if I'm sucking. Then you can tell me my mistake and I'll probably try to correct it in the next video. And also do consider subscribing to this channel if you feel that this content is helpful for you. That I would really appreciate that. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.